All right, guys. Well, welcome. If you're here for the what you need to know to start and grow your nonprofit in 2024, you're in the right place.
Welcome.
Welcome. Yeah. So I'm Mary Valloni, and this is Tim Needham.
Hello,
And
hello.
yes, Tim and I both normally would be coming to you both from St. Louis, Missouri, but today I am in just north of Tulum, Mexico. And Tim, what part of St. Louis are you coming from?
South County
South
in
County for
the
our
Arnold area. Yes.
so good. All right. We have hundreds of nonprofits who signed up to come join us here today. So I know some
Yeah.
people are catching our recording and some of you guys are here live. So shout out to those of you who made the time on a Friday. Some of you are in the morning, afternoon, evening. Some of you are coming from, I mean, we've had people mentioning from different countries. So those
Yeah.
guys are coming in from different parts of, middle of the night. And I did give them the pass to not have to show up in the middle of the night. That we'll get you the recording. And all of you guys will get access to the recording as well, just in case you miss something or you want the notes or whatever from today. So great. Come
Hey,
on.
there's a lot of Minnesota people.
Yes, I love it. That's not a bad thing. So yeah, there you go from
A lot of
Uganda.
Indiana. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I figured we had some international ones with us here today. So April, oh, April, love you, girl. And Kay home.
Williamsburg,
Okay,
Virginia. I used to live not too far from there when I was in the Navy.
yeah,
Williamsburg is beautiful.
for sure. And Philippa is coming from South
Mm.
Africa. So that's cool. Okay, all right. We got some work to do today. So, and
Yeah.
you guys are probably pulling away from your day job so that you can have this conversation here today. So we're gonna dive in.
And can I
Uh,
just say to you guys, thank you for giving us your time. We know that your time is very valuable, but thank you for being on this because I think it's going to be very valuable information to help you start and grow your nonprofit.
yeah. All right. On that note, so we told you in the message as far as like, hey, here's the things you're going to learn. Tim and I are really big on we say what we mean what we say. We're going to implement exactly what we told you. It wasn't just clickbait for you to come and join us here today. So here's what you're going to learn during our time together. You're going to learn the 3 key strategies to start and grow your nonprofit. So we don't care if you're coming in here like I know nothing or you're coming in here saying, I actually know a lot. I just have hit a ceiling, or I want to know for 2024, what do I need to do to make this thing better? So
Yeah.
we doing that. We're going to be hitting on the 3 key action steps. So if you didn't come to work today, get your notebook out because we're going to do some work. Okay. And then the final thing here is just how to stay ahead of the curve in 2024. We all want to
Yeah.
know the information. So there's that. So Tim, I'm going to have you introduce yourself and then I'll give a brief introduction for myself.
Yeah. So my name is Tim Needham. I'm the founder and executive director of Restoration House STL here in St. Louis, Missouri. And if you guys would like, as I'm typing, you're sitting in your computer, you can look us up. You can look us up our website at restorationhousestl.org, so you can get a little bit of an idea of who we are and what we do. But I run an organization here in town that services youth and young adults from the ages of 18 to 26. We have a drop-in center in South City. We have a base of probably 150 volunteers that do work for us on a regular basis. We have a full-time staff of caseworkers, along with myself, who help figure out and identify what those situations are that those young people are going through and how we can best serve them. As an organization, let's see, last year we just ran the numbers, and last year we served around 3,700 people from all the different programs that we have. And we've been able to do that in a span of 8 years. That's how long our organization has been around. So we spent about 2 years in just research and development and understanding how we're going to do it. And then after 2 years, we launched the organization, and we've been around 8 years ever since. So in that process, I went from day one when I was trying to figure out what the heck are we going to do to get this thing off the ground. I said, I need to raise money. I had no idea how do I do that. So a good friend of mine, Jason Bowman, put me in contact with a fantastic fundraising coach named Mary Baloney. And so literally Mary has been involved in Restoration House as a coach for me since day one. So so yeah, that's a little bit about me. Uh
Yeah, so good. Well, and it's so funny because people would say, "Oh, where do you work or what do you do?" And I say, "Well, I actually I do, I help charities raise money. I help nonprofits figure out how to take their organizations to the next level." And I said, I work with people all over the world, and I only have one client in the same town as me, and that was Tim. So it was kind of funny how that all worked out. So, but
which
for
was
those
bad for you because inevitably that meant that I hounded you left and right for information all the time.
Well, it was just fun because we actually got to meet in person, which isn't always the case with some of my clients. But
Yeah.
just wanted to just in a high level overview, I started my fundraising. I started my work in the nonprofit sector through organizations like Special Olympics, the ALS Association, the American Cancer Society. My friend Robin is on the call today, who we got to work together at the American Cancer Society. And, I worked for a $1 billion nonprofit. And what was so great about my time there was that I learned how $1 billion nonprofits are formed. Like I really got to see behind the curtain. And in that process, I, had went through the journey of working with people who had gone through major things like cancer diagnoses, and then it hit home for me. So my dad was diagnosed with cancer, and in that moment I kind of had that aha moment of like, I'm not going to live forever, what? And I started asking the questions about like, what do I want to do? How do I want to help people? And so I ended up branching out on my own, starting my own business, and started to do some consulting work and helping charities. And over the last 10 years, I've helped over 1,000 nonprofits in their fundraising efforts, helping with their structures and systems. And it's just been really a joy. And so this last year, after working over here, this picture on the left is me teaching at a workshop a couple of years ago, pre-pandemic. And I think this picture, Tim, there's a mask here. So I would assume this check was handed to you during pandemic season.
It
Uh,
was.
but what's so fun for me is being able to multiply. And so to be able to help you wherever you're at today to take your organization, whether it's already formed or it's just an idea, and start moving this into a season where, hey, we can actually do this. And there's a confidence behind
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So I do workshops, Tim and I, as we talked about doing this, we were like, let's just help as many charities get funded,
That's right.
and off the ground. So it's really fun that our organization is called Start and Grow Your Nonprofit. And if you are only here for the first 10 minutes of our conversation, Tim and I want to gift you with access to our podcast. So, I mean, if you have to run and you have to catch our recording or anything else, we hope that you'll tune into our podcast. And if you have your phone in front of you, please take it out and search Start and Grow Your Nonprofit. Subscribe to our channel here, and we have 6 episodes already ready for you. And what Tim and I want to do is we just want to like infuse you with inspiration,
That's
with
right.
people who are stinking doing this thing and they're doing amazing work at it. And so we've brought some of our very dear friends who are running nonprofits, they're founders, they're executive directors, and they're doing really, really great. And so
Yeah.
we want to make sure you can see that.
And the cool thing is, like every episode is a new on nonprofit entrepreneur. That's kind of the idea. Is we want to inspire people with a new story every time they turn on the podcast. So you're going to hear from people who are running $100,000 nonprofits, $2 million nonprofits, people who are reaching folks in the other side of the world in Europe, Africa, Asia, United States, South America, all over the place. But each time you're going to hear a new story from a new founder who had a new vision and they went out and they changed their world and they share how they did it. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
So, anyways, it's free. We just want to make sure that you have access to that. And so, okay, jumping right along here. So, let's dive into these 3 key strategies for 2024. So, you are going to find today's information is not rocket science. Okay. Many times people overcomplicate uh, especially in the nonprofit sector. I don't know, we think that it has to be complicated, it has to be overwhelming in order for it to work, and that is not the case. I'll teach you in the fundraising side. We all know that the key to successful fundraising is relationships. Okay, Tim and I, like, the reason why we're even doing this together today is relationships. Okay, we have built a relationship over the years, and of course we're going to continue that relationship, and this is just how it looked. So let's
Right.
dive into the 3 key strategies. I'm going to have Tim really fill you in, because of course, boots on the ground, he's doing this from the startup phase. But once again, it doesn't matter if you're starting or you've already advanced, the stuff works. Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Yep.
So number 1, Tim. Okay.
Yeah.
Clearly define your mission and your goals.
Yeah.
Why is this important?
Well, it's important because if you have no idea what your mission and goals are, you have nowhere to start. That's the main thing. You have nowhere to start. And we're going to talk a lot about that today, about how like it really is just all about just starting, just getting up and then making the decision to get up and go. But when I got going with our organization years ago, when we were in that 2-year research mode, um, a lot of that was very foreign to me, how to define, goals and mission, the mission of the organization. I'd never been an executive director before. I had been a leader, but never really a nonprofit person who sat down and defined what the mission, the vision, the values, and the goals were. But a solid business leader who helped launch our organization from a business perspective, really forced me to sit down and figure out what are the very specific tangibles of what you want to do and how you're going to do it. And once I did that, we came up with that business plan, that initial business plan. It was what rocketed us moving forward. And the cool thing was, I think I shared this with you about 6 months ago, Mary. I actually looked back at that business plan that we wrote 8 years ago, and it was a short term, a middle term, and a long term business plan of what we wanted to do. And after 8 years, it was that eighth year where we finally checked the box on the last mission and the last goal that we wanted to reach when we originally wrote that business plan 8 years ago. And it was a euphoric feeling to me to look back and see, like, wow, that's how far this has come. But it's because we set very specific goals in place that we were able to be as successful as we were.
Yeah, so good. Well, we all know, like, I mean, I'm sure all of you guys are aware that, like, if you don't have a mission statement, you can't apply for grants. You can't, I mean, it's a pretty core item that you want to have on any of your fundraising materials, but also like on your website and when you're communicating to anyone. And when you're first getting started, the main thing is that you need one other person besides you to say, this is a good idea, right?
That's
Like,
right.
usually when you first get going, you're like, am I the only one who thinks this? But what we're hearing over and over, just between just the people that we're interviewing on our podcast, most of the time it was like they were really kind of the hero, like the one that didn't really want to be the hero.
Yeah.
It's like, I jumped in, I did this, and I just kind of felt like somebody needed to do it. There's a problem that needs to be solved. And if nobody else is going to do it, I guess I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And so, but without a mission, without that mission, you really can't move much further. So, but
Yeah.
I just want to give you a way of looking at your mission statement, because some of you work for larger organizations and there is a beautiful mission statement. And I'm sure if we asked you all to type them in here, none of you would know them. Okay. Like when I ask somebody for their mission statement, they're always like, something, it's like really flowery and there's a lot of buzzwords in that mission statement. And that's just fine. Like, that's just fine. But there is a way that you can do a mission statement where it's just really clear and concise.
Yep.
And so you can just take out a sheet of paper and just write, we are blank. Who does blank? So that blank. We are blank. Who
Yep.
does blank? So that blank. Okay.
That's
And it
exactly how we did our mission statement.
and it just gives people an understanding of like, hey, let's use the chat. go ahead and type in there, like, we are blank, who does blank, so that blank. And
Yeah.
obviously fill in the blanks, okay, with your story. Yes. See, and Chris, you got a great one. You work with my friends over at Chi Alpha Campus Ministries, but yeah, reconciling students to Christ to fulfill God's global mission for the world. Yeah. And the thing about their mission statement, I worked for them for 5 years, and they had some buzzwords in their mission statement. We're transforming the university, the marketplace, and the world. And so I used those buzzwords on everything that I did. If it wasn't focused on transforming the university, the marketplace, and the world, we weren't doing it. So, all right,
Mary,
Kayla. Go ahead.
I hear you talk about, so it's eluding me what you say to me a lot, but you use the word clarity and what clarity does and how clarity impacts everything. Do you remember what's that?
Yeah.
There's
So
that.
the buzz, the buzz
Yeah,
phrase that I like to use, and this came from my mentor. But clarity attracts, confusion repels.
that's it.
And the clearer you are, the more likely that people are actually going to follow you.
That's right.
So clarity attracts, confusion repels. And the more confusing you are, the more people just nod their head. If you see people nodding their head and then walking away, you have confused them and they don't know what you do. And so you got to gain some clarity on that. So,
Yeah, and when we were talking about this in the planning, one of the things that I mentioned was how when you have clarity, that impacts like if you have a vision and an idea for for a nonprofit, but you have clarity with it, and you can cast that vision and that clarity to one other person. Before you had that conversation, all you had was an idea. After that conversation, that person jumps in. Now you have a team,
yeah.
and that is how you grow, is one person at a time. If you can cast that vision to one other person, that other like A1. And for our organization, for Restoration House, I have that person. The one who I originally cast the idea to, her name is Lily Blake. And if you look on our website, you'll see her on there. She is my A1. She is the one who, when I had this crazy harebrained idea, she said, let's do it. And so she's the other co-founder of our organization. But for us, for me, it was about, okay, who's that one person that I can go to first and clearly define what this objective is and how we can do it, and I want you to be a part of it. And if you can get one other person to jump on board with it, then you can get another and another. But if you can't get that first person to get excited about it, then you might want to go back and take a look at some of your stuff and see, are you clear enough on what you want to do and how you're going to do it?
Yeah, so good. I just want to highlight one more and then I'm going to give you another action item here. But my sister here, Kayla, she posted here, we're Butterfly Kisses Alliance, who offers support and resources for families experiencing perinatal loss so that they know they're not alone. Pretty stinking clear.
It's good.
Really, really
It's good.
good. And I know, Kayla, you just started your organization here in the last year. And so I always said from the beginning, she has great clarity, knows exactly what they stand for, and has had a great following of people coming on board. So good job.
Yeah,
Thank you guys for posting who shared in there.
for sure.
Tim and I want to give you an action step here. Okay. Because many times, like it's January, we start off the year, we've got all these goals. Okay. We've got our mission. We know exactly what we want to do here. But the problem is that many people just don't take action, and they don't like actually put their feet in the ground and say, you know what, I'm actually going to do this. And so I was sharing with Tim that, years ago, when I started my business, I knew I was supposed to write a book, and I wrote this book called Fundraising Freedom. Some of you guys have already read it. Thank you. But Fundraising Freedom was something that was in my mind for years. Like, I wanted to write that book, but I did not have, there was just something in me that just like, I couldn't seem to get it together, Tim. I couldn't get it together. I mean, I had the outline, I was talking about it. And I think that that's where a lot of startup nonprofits are, is that you're like, oh, I've got this idea. I'm talking to a lot of people about it. I should do this. But they just can't seem to get it off the ground. And this could be anything. This could be a fundraising goal. This could be an event that you want to put on, a new program that you want to, put into your program, revamping your board of directors. It
Yeah.
could be a number of things. But I just want to share with you, there was a book that I read years and years ago called Think and Grow Rich. Some of you guys have read it if you're in the entrepreneurial space. But there's one sentence from that book that says, like, the secret to it all is to have a burning desire.
Yeah.
And so, and that for me was like a pivotal moment because I was like, I don't have a burning desire to write a book. Like I flat out, like I had a very clear conversation with myself and I was like, I don't have a burning desire for it. Like I want to, like
Mm.
I want to write a book. Like that would be great. Who doesn't, right? I think most people want to write a book in their lifetime, but I was like, I just don't have a burning desire for it. And I was telling Tim that I was like, but what I did was in that moment, I had like a realization that I didn't have the burning desire. So then I shifted my conversation with myself and I shifted my prayers to like, God, give me the burning desire to want to do this, like to actually take action and do something. So I'm curious for those of you who are on the call right now, just give me a yes or a no. Like just like nobody's going to judge you if you say no, but just in all honesty, do you have like we got people already saying yes. Do you have a burning desire for the mission and the goals and the like starting it to grow this thing? Thank you. Yes, absolutely. Yes, 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 yes.
Or
Okay.
maybe do you have like so do you have a fear of the unknown? I guess, right? Like some, and I see you keep answering the question the way Mary said to, but I will say, like, what nonprofit entrepreneurs and starters feel often is like, I have no idea how to do this.
Mhm.
Can I even do this?
Yeah.
But those are, and I'll tell you, like, take comfort in knowing that is something that every nonprofit entrepreneur and starter feels. But if you have the passion for it,
Yeah.
that's what can help you overcome all those obstacles, because I've been there. I mean, Mary, you're talking about like how it took you a while and you were struggling through, like, what were you going to do? And I mentioned earlier that I was 2 years in research for a restoration house, but it wasn't like a full-blown 2 years of just straight research. It was 2 years of research and then me questioning everything that I was doing more research and like, do I even want to do this? Doing research and how the heck am I going to fund this thing? How am I going to collect a salary? All of that. Yeah. And all
Amen.
those things are normal. And I say, welcome to the club if that's how you feel. Come on in, the water's fine and it will get better.
Yeah. I love just seeing like, like Joe and some of these others that have commented in here that it's like, I have a burning desire for the mission. I just don't have a burning desire for the admin part, or
Or the
the burning
fundraising
desire
part.
for, yeah. And some people, it is the fundraising part. And I totally get that. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, you all came here today for this conversation because there was a reason. Like you want to start something, you want to grow something. So our take action step here is really a declaration. Okay.
Yeah.
So we want you to make a declaration today. We want you to take this burning passion that you have for your organization, and we want you to share with us like this is I think a firm where it's like I don't just want to do it, like I will do it.
Yeah.
And whenever we have people do this kind of thing, it's not like, oh my gosh, if we don't do it, it's the end of the world. Okay, we guarantee that something will be slightly different at the end of the
That's right.
year. But by December 31st, like just you're, taking this time away from the chaos of your world. And you're just like, by December 31st, 2024, I will blank. I will start my nonprofit.
Yeah.
I will raise X
File.
amount of
Yeah.
dollars.
I'll file the paperwork for a 501(c)(3). I will find one other team member to like get this going with me. Whatever, wherever it could be a small step, it could be a large step, it could be one step, it could be 10 steps. But by December 31st, 2024, I will blank. Yeah. Yeah. It's good.
Okay, so
And
take a moment, write that in. Yes, use the
yeah,
chat box. Go ahead.
as you guys are typing that in,
Eek. I love
let me
that.
tell you, so when we were thinking about these topics, I did some digging up on my own, some research, and what I found was an overarching theme that while the economy is like tight, the shocking data is showing that giving is not largely being impacted. In fact, what they're finding is overall that individual giving for donate for other for new grassroots organizations is actually going up. People want to be a part of a grassroots organization. They do. And people want to help fund it. Grants are becoming more and more open for grassroots organizations. This is a prime time, and there's obvious reasons too, and why it will continue to get better. You know, we're about to run into this new political season, and every politician on the planet is going to be talking about how they want to help the grassroots level organizations and making all those promises. But it will be on the forefront of people's minds, is what I'm trying to say. And that will be a prime opportunity for you and your organization to show that you're a grassroots organization that wants to impact lives. And here's how you can be a part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I am loving these statements, these declarations as they come in. I just want to read a few of them. You know, by December 31st, me and my team will raise $74,000. By December 31st, I will have spent 4 months in Latvia, Sweden, Estonia, Finland, ministering to pastors and government leaders.
Wow.
And I would add one more thing to that. You know, after doing that, just think about the impact. That'll drive you. So good. I will register a nonprofit, filing the necessary and paperwork and setting it up. Yep. Setting up a
Bingo.
web page. Thank you. That was great, Martha. Good declaration. I like that. I will create a job description, seek volunteer help for this role, and ultimately raise the funds necessary to hire and pay our first part-time admin assistant. Joe, yes. Yes, friend. Okay. All right. Now that we have our declarations, and keep them coming, you know, if you're still thinking about it, if you just wrote it on your paper, that's fine too. We just want to make sure that you come here, you actually, you know, we're not just, this isn't just us hanging out because it's a good time. Like, we really do want to make sure that this is a transformational conversation that we have here today that will change everything. So, okay. Number two, we are hitting on some of these buzz topics that are happening in the world. We were talking about the trends of 2024. You have to be hiding under a rock if you have missed the AI world that we're living in, obviously all the social media access that we have, just technology in general. I have worked with so many organizations. It's like they used to have to do so much snail mail communication. They had to, those face-to-face meetings were the only way that they could raise money and they could spread the message. We now have digital platforms and technology at our fingertips. We don't even need media outlets anymore. Like, I
That's
mean,
right.
when I started my fundraising, I'm like, I had to have NBC, ABC, CBS, the radio stations, the newspapers, everybody. I had to make friends with every print and media outlet out there. And now you have your own media outlet sitting at your fingertips that you created yourself on a social platform.
That's right.
So, Tim, I know, I mean, you use social media, you use media. I know that some people have a love-hate relationship with with social platforms, with AI. They feel like maybe it's cheating, or maybe it feels uncomfortable. It doesn't feel authentic to who they are. What do you say to that?
I say yes. I have that love-hate relationship with social media. Um, when I first got started, here's what I'll say: like social media is absolutely in our culture. It's critical and crucial. You have to be on it. You have to be posting regularly. And truthfully, you probably have to be posting on average at least 2 times per week to be effective in like how you're getting your message out. But yeah, I have that love-hate relationship because I know that it's necessary and you need it, but you also don't want to be tethered to your phone or tethered to your computer, all days and all hours of the night, like looking to see if somebody liked your post or whatever. And I've definitely fallen victim of that, like with our organization. Just, oh, is this post? Is it like getting a lot of likes, a lot of viewers and stuff like that? But more funnier thing is like what you mentioned about AI, because I have a love hate with that one. I call him Chad, Chat GPT. I call him Chad, because the AI technology that's out there now is so stinking good. I mean, it's like unbelievable, like how much content you can create in like 0.5 seconds. And you look back and you read it like, oh, wow, that's way better than what anything that I would have ever come up with. And me and you do that all the time, right, Mary? Like when we go through our content, we look at it and you'll spit out something into AI and or Chat GPT, and like it's amazing. And you just take that and you just tweak it for what you need that those statements or that stuff to be. But when I think about like social media and examples of how it is used effectively, I think of a good friend of mine, Bob Sturgis. And the cool thing is, you can go. We actually interviewed Bob in one of our podcasts a while back. Um,
So 4.
but but Bob has found a way to leverage social media to be a massive fundraiser for him. And he does it on one day. He does it on Giving Tuesday in November every year. And even with Giving Tuesday, I have a love-hate relationship with it, because I feel I told Mary before on Giving Tuesday, I kind of feel like in years past I prostituted myself with doing post after post after post just to get a little bit of money. But Bob has found a clever way to do it. He works for weeks and months leading up to the Giving Tuesday, and he finds people who will give him a matching grant for all the money that they raise on Giving Tuesday. And their organization is about the same, probably about the same size as us from a annual revenue perspective, and even the demographic of they're reaching is very similar. But he raises on Giving Tuesday, he raises over $50,000 every year.
Yeah, it's so good. Well, and the thing is that you mentioned that you're like, I kind of felt like I was prostituting myself out. And I was like, I always tell people, I'm like, if you are begging for money, you're not fundraising right. Okay. Like you should never have to like, poor me, like, please give us some cash. Now I have done fundraising that way, but that is not what we teach. And that is not the story that needs to be for you and your organization. So, but utilizing, your social platforms and to
That's right.
utilize AI to just help your organization move to the next level. Absolutely, you need to follow this trend.
Yeah.
But here's what I just want to address real quick is that on like your social media and stuff, like the reason why so many people probably dislike it is because it feels inauthentic.
Yeah.
And so if you can make the switch over to, we are absolutely 100% authentic in what we put out into the world through social posts. So AI feels in it's inauthentic. Like it's a robot.
That's right.
Like that is not our organization. That's not what we built this thing on. So when you feel like, oh, a robot's telling our story, well, that doesn't feel good. And so, but there is a way that you can make it right. You can make it authentic and you can be honest and truthful and not feel like you're duping people into giving you money or being a part of that. And so here's your take action on number 2. Okay. And by the way, we're going to try and wrap here at an hour. So we're going to go through these 3, and then Tim and I are going to share some opportunities here for us to partner together. But I want to make sure that you guys get these take actions because I think that they're going to transform the way that you run your organization. So the first one we mentioned, earlier, make a declaration. Here's what we're going to do. And this second one is to tell better stories. Okay. We all know, like if you followed StoryBrand, if you followed any sort of marketing, if you are on Instagram following your reels, everybody's trying to teach you how to tell better stories. Like, and the whole thing is that it comes back to authenticity. And so Tim's going to share like just a brief
Uh,
story. Like tell us a story, Tim. Tell us what happened when you posted this live video and what happened here.
yes, we're going to start story time with Tim.
Story
Okay.
time with Tim.
That's right. Yeah. So this is a picture on your screen right now of a Facebook Live that my organization did this past Tuesday. And so here in St. Louis on that Tuesday night, it was the temperatures were -8 degrees with a wind chill of, I believe it was -30 that night. And so at this point, our outreach teams, we have a group of volunteers that go out every Tuesday night and just pass out supplies to anyone and everyone. Well, on a cold winter night like this, we're just focused on getting blankets and hot hands and things like that to help people literally survive the night. And so this is about 8 o'clock at night. Um, and so one of the things that I understand about social media is when you're in the moment where you're doing the work and there's a powerful moment at play, if there's a way that you can use that on social media, you should. So I realized in my head, okay, we're sitting out here in -8-degree weather. People need to see that there's a problem. People need to see that this is a big problem in our city, and we have people out there who are making an impact and helping to quite literally save people's lives. So I shared this video. I did a Facebook Live. I will admit, I did it too long. The video should be much shorter to help reach people and to hit the algorithms on Facebook and on all the other social media platforms. But I shared that video, got a really good response from people. A lot of people viewed it. But the cool thing was is I didn't realize until 2 days later the impact that it had because I mentioned that we have a drop-in center here in South in St. Louis. Well, one of the ladies who comes in to help organize our supplies, comes in on a regular basis, went up to me and she said, "Tim, I'm pissed off." And I said, "Wait, what? I'm so sorry. What did I do?" She's like, "No, I'm pissed off." All right, let me tell you, I was pissed off earlier this week because I saw that video that you posted on social media, and then I got mad. But not mad at you, I got mad at myself because I come in sometimes and I look at the clothing closet, we have all the supplies, and I'm the one organizing it, and it's a mess. But when I saw that video and I saw what you guys are out there doing, literally helping to save people's lives, I was humbled quickly. And I realized I have no room to complain about everything. And now I'm excited to come in here and do this organization for you. And then she didn't even stop there. She went and then she told her group of lady friends who she meets with on a regular basis, and she made them watch this video. And would it be a surprise to you if I told you that one of the ladies was in that group, came up to help volunteer with us later in the week, and she wrote a substantial donation to us. That was I didn't ask for it, and I won't tell you how much, but it rocked me. And it takes a lot to rock me now when it comes to like a donation. I was stunned. And all of that comes from a singular social media post.
Yeah. And I mean, to share, I mean, 5 figures plus, so we're not talking about a couple
Yeah,
$100s. Like,
that
I
was a
mean, it
big
was
one.
5 figures. Okay. Like, so, off of, and it's just so crazy because digital marketing, digital, technology, all this stuff, it's like, it just seems like, oh, it's just one more thing I got to think about.
That's right.
But if you can just incorporate it in, Tim, you were already going to be there. You're already like, it's like for you to grab your phone and to just shoot an authentic, interaction. She obviously watched 10 minutes and 11 seconds and then made somebody else watch 10 minutes and
That's
11 seconds of this, which is fantastic. Okay. I also want to
Shoot
just
shorter videos, though. I will say
give
that shorter videos.
Hey, nobody said that this was perfect. Okay. We're not bringing you perfection here. It's just what is working and how to stay ahead of the curve is what we talked about,
Yeah,
So, but I do want to highlight real quick on good storytelling is that, all of our good stories, whenever, Tim and I have a conversation together, if I'm going to reach out to him or he's going to reach out to me and it's like, hey, can I talk? Can you talk? It's like, he'll send a message and be like, can you talk? I got something to tell you. It's like, he's calling because something just happened. Like
yeah,
there was an incident that just happened and he needs to tell me. What do you think I do? I immediately respond, right? Like, oh, Tim's got something to tell me. Okay.
that's right.
And when you cry wolf and you say, I got something to tell you, and you just don't share anything worthy of their time, they will stop answering your call. They will stop responding to your social posts. So
Hmm.
when you do post, you have to post about something that's actually interesting
Yeah,
and actually worth telling the story about. Okay. So whenever you just think about storytelling in general, when you tell a story, you usually tell them something happened. Like, you won't believe what just happened. Like Tim, when I talked to him one day, he was like, just grabbing very large check that was unexpected. Okay, that catches my attention, right? Like if
Yeah.
you post on social or you send a message to somebody and you tell them something just happened, and it doesn't have to be a fat check. Love a good
Yeah.
fat check.
Yep.
But it could have been literally one of his people walked into their drop-in center and said, Tim, I got a job.
That's right.
I
That's right.
mean, like, duh, like, I mean, I got a call yesterday and they said they got the apartment.
That's right.
Like
That's right.
those just it just chills down, and for some of you it's like they're sustaining themselves. We've been helping them for years and they got it and it clicked, right? Like, or they met somebody in our organization that got them. So back to Kayla's thing, they're not alone. Somebody walked up to me and said, they're not alone,
Yeah.
that they found us.
Yeah.
That's a story I want to hear. A donor dropped everything. One of the stories that I love that somebody posted on social media was somebody who gave a lap. Like it was an iPad. It was like when iPads were just coming out, and some guy got an iPad. Like it was like a donor just came
Mhm.
by and was like, "Hey, here's an iPad." It's like for Chris, who's on the call. It's college ministry, and it was like, "Here's an iPad. Use it. Use it for however you need for your ministry."
Yeah.
And that guy wrote on social media, posted a picture of an iPad in his hand, didn't mention the donor's name, didn't give any details about this person, just said, a donor just gave me an iPad and said, I love you. Go
Yeah.
make a difference in the world.
Yep.
Like we get to do this,
Yep.
so I just want to highlight some of these stories because I think that you can tell really, really great stories and you have no idea what one little thing that you post is how that's going to trickle.
Well,
Uh,
yeah, and think about this. So me, I'm an executive director. So my job is to raise money, but also to build out the teams. And what I got out of that story was, yes, somebody wrote a big check, like you said, but even if it was something smaller, the real value for me was actually that I had one of our core volunteers felt the burden to do what we're doing. So she's like, I'm going to come in and I'm going to stop complaining that something is unorganized or I need to shift this over here. And actually, she went ahead out of that and created this huge diagram of like our clothing space. And she's like, here's how we're going to improve, the location of everything. And she had this very detailed out like explanation of everything that she was going to do. And I showed it to my wife and I'm like, and I just handed her the phone and I smiled and I said, that's somebody being empowered to do what they're called to do. And that came out of that video.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Another
Okay.
one, another side one real quick I'll tell you is like years ago, I just simply posted a picture of a trailer saying that we needed a trailer on social media. And a good old buddy of mine from back home in Memphis, Tennessee, where I grew up, from the church that I grew up in, said, hey, he sent me a message. He said, hey, do you remember that old trailer you used to take all those youth trips on? And it was an old beat up trailer. And I was like, yeah, I remember that trailer. He's like, you want it? And I said, I absolutely want that trailer because it had so many memories for me of going on missions trips and everything. And we still I drove down to Memphis and picked that trailer up and brought it up here, and we still use it to this day because it's got so many great memories for me. But yeah,
So cool. So cool. But yeah, you just don't know. I have the story after story after story on like just people responding to needs. But at the same time, I think that it's reminding yourself that you don't have to have 50 stories, like 50 lives transformed or whatever else. One,
that's
okay,
right.
just one, tell the one story, the one incident, the one thing. So the way that I encourage people to tell stories is literally when you're getting ready to write a post, to go on social media or to do anything, just take a moment and literally just pause and say, what exciting thing happened in the last week? Like what was
That's right.
the one thing that happened that just kind of made me go, wow, we get to do this? Or and it could be as minuscule or as like amazing and miraculous as can be, but it doesn't have to be that fantastic. It's just that it really impacted you and you have ability to tell a story around that and how others can do the same. So there's something about when you see somebody on social media doing something that where you're like, I want to be like them. And that's what you're trying to capture.
Yeah.
So, all right, this final one, number three, the the third key that we want you guys to hone in on is partnerships and collaborations.
Yeah.
We all know we are better together. Our nonprofits do not exist without volunteers. Our organizations do not exist if we don't have people who say yes to giving. So it's like we need partnerships and collaborations. And I know Tim could preach on this for days and
This
days
is
and
my
days.
baby.
Well, and I feel like we hit on this a lot during even our first podcast episodes, that every single nonprofit entrepreneur comes back and says, build strong relationships with people.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So I need to whip through this one because we need to get to the end, but I want to highlight just this right here on community and on all that. So Tim, tell me, when you launched your nonprofit and when you were building it out, what was community like for you?
Well, so there's really like this is like a two-pronged like approach. When I think about community and how to build it. One, I think about the organization itself. So what are we trying to accomplish? Like what are our programs? And of whatever programs we're going to start, how can I find organizations that are doing similar work that I can connect and partner with so that I can take that load off of us and partner with them about. So I knew that Restoration House had a few key niches of things that we did really good. And I knew that there was 1,001 other fantastic organizations who were doing work in the things that we weren't strong in. So it was my priority. Priority number one is find the organizations that we are weak at and connect them. We don't in other words, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We don't have to be able to do everything, but we can do a few things really well, and we can connect to other organizations all the other things that we don't do. And so there was massive value in that. It was that no, we're not the biggest, coolest thing on the block. There's amazing other organizations out there that do fantastic work, and how can we partner with them? So that's the first thing. But then when you're talking about the organization itself, like let's think about some of the initial things that people who are in that startup phase are thinking about. Like how do we fundraise? How do we do accounting? How do we do the finances? You partner up with other people who know how to do those things, and they can do them in their sleep. For me, when we talk about fundraising, I hired Mary to be my fundraising coach. She became a part of my community and knowing and learning how to grow the organization. When it came to accounting, as soon as we got a little bit of money coming in, we we outsourced that to somebody who we could pay to do that, and pay them a couple like $250 a month to do all of our accounting and stuff, our profit and loss statements, and it made it so much easier for us. So that's the first part, just the organization itself. How can we outsource things to other people who do it really well within programs? How can we connect to other organizations in our communities that are doing the same thing and can make us even better? But then the second part is just the overall organizational development. And that's really you. That's the executive director. How are you growing? Who are you surrounding yourself with who can help you grow? So myself, I mentioned earlier, I put myself in front of a community of other people who are trying to figure out how to fundraise their nonprofit as well. But I also put myself into a couple other networks. One, we joined an organization here in town called the Reach Missouri Network, and they're a group of like-minded people who want to help fund and build and grow the nonprofits here in the state of Missouri. I joined another group of people who were just executive directors and of nonprofits here in town. And those executive directors, some of them were $100,000 nonprofits, some of them were $500,000 nonprofits, some of them were $10 million nonprofits. But you got lumped into a group with people who were in that same financial like realm. So if you're a $250,000 nonprofit, you were with other executive directors in that same category. But the value that that brings is it allows you to kind of take a step back, put your arms back, and just say, okay, there are other people out there who have the exact same feelings that I do. When they second guess, why am I doing this? Can I do this? Is this even feasible? How much longer do I want to do this? You're in a community of other people who can hold you up and say, one, you can do it. Two, it's okay. And three, I've had those exact same feelings. And Mary, I know that we have talked about this many times in the past. The value of just being with a group of other people who can hold you accountable, who can tell you, you know what, I've been there, I've done that, it gets better. Like how much value that brings. It's you can't even really put a value on it. It's invaluable.
Well, the conversations that we have with nonprofit executives and entrepreneurs, it's like they all say that they were going to quit, right? Like, I mean, at some point you have to question yourself, like, am I insane? Like, no, who does
Yes.
this? And just a reminder that the nonprofit sector exists because the for-profit sector couldn't make money off of whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay. So the nonprofit sector exists because this isn't a money-making business, and it's a problem that the for-profit industry cannot fix.
Yeah.
So it's hard. So anybody who launches out into this nonprofit sector, this is hard work, and you're doing it with less money and less resources most of the time. Okay. And that's where Tim and I are like, we're passionate and just really excited about like being able to help you guys. And I think that was one of the things from the get-go is that I'm like, I just want to create communities. Like I want to create like these circles of influence for you that are like, these are really, really good people and they're like you. And so
Mhm.
Tim, when I started doing my podcast years ago, my business coach told me that just talk to your former stuck self.
Mhm.
Like as I'm talking to people, it's like, I'm just telling you, like, I don't want to be alone in my fundraising efforts. Like,
That's right.
I don't want to be alone leading an organization. Tim doesn't want to be alone. So it's like, so for me, I'm like, that lonely factor is something that none of you should have to, to deal with as you're leading your organization. And so, so here's the thing, let's nail down these 3 action items. Again, I just want to highlight this. The 3 action items we want
Yeah.
you guys to take is just you made that declaration at the beginning of our call today. We're letting you know that the digital marketing phase, like this is not gonna go away. And by the way, AI, storytelling, all of that stuff is stuff that Tim and I are passionate about, and we absolutely teach in the work that we do.
Yeah.
And then the community of just joining a community, finding that group that you can lock your arms to. And I want to highlight just just the fact that when I wrote my book years ago, I had there's a part of my book that talks about like enlisting a team and
Yeah.
surrounding yourself with, it's Jim Rohn's quote, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Anybody who's seen a social post, so that's one that's on there all the time, but you're the average of the people you spend the most time with. And for some people, they're very secluded. Some of you guys are in a location where I can't go join a community in my town. There is no one doing what I'm doing. There is no club like what Tim was talking about. I don't have access to those people. And if I do, you know what they're doing? They're stealing everything from me, So it's like we are trying to raise money from the same people. So it feels like if I tell them an idea, they're just going to go do it. And then they're going to take the money that I needed, so it feels like sometimes your own community, like what we would consider our community, the geographic location that we're in, isn't necessarily the one that's who we want to grow with. And so there was a guy who read my book and he didn't realize that he's like, oh, Mary, you can be one of the 5 people that are in my inner circle.
That's
And I
right.
was like, yes, Tim can be one of those people that's in your inner circle. As you listen to our podcast, as you gain, like you join our community, like you can actually be influenced by those who are doing it bigger, better, faster than you are, that don't live in your community, that you can aspire to through a relationship with them. So
Yeah.
we want to take these last few minutes, and we may go over, which not surprised. Tim, this is like the ongoing joke with my husband. It's like, oh, Tim's calling. Okay. You know? But I mean, I'm at fault. This is where like attracts like. So it's not a surprise that Tim was drawn to the work that I was doing. So, but I do want to take a few minutes just to tell you guys a way that you can get plugged into what Tim and I are doing, and how you can start taking action on these things immediately.
Yeah.
Like, this is something that we can start doing in the next week together. And really, I mean, you guys can write that story. You made the declaration already, so you won that one. Number two, you can right now go on your social post and you can tell one story about something that you have seen in the last week that has impacted you in some way. Post
Yeah.
that and let the algorithms do whatever they're going to do. And if
Yep.
you get a response, great. If you don't, you tell another good story next week. You know.
Yep.
And then that third thing about the community, this is where Tim and I want to come alongside you. And we want to just like tell you about our new program. Some of you guys got our emails, and some of you are like, hey, a friend told me I should show up to this thing. And I don't know what I don't know. So I just was like, hey, I'll learn some stuff today. So I hope that you guys learned some stuff today, just even from what we shared earlier in our call. But we do want to tell you about this nonprofit academy that we have launched. A lot of people are like, hey, I went online, I downloaded some stuff, and that is great. There are so many free resources available to you guys. Like, I mean, Tim and I aren't going to tell you that we know everything and we got it all figured out. What we're going to tell you is that we have created a community of people who all want to figure it out
Yeah.
together. And they're willing to follow the lead from a couple of coaches like us and other coaches that we bring together. And so I think that the main thing right now is just making a decision that it's like, whatever's been working in the past or whatever I've done in the past, for some reason, it just isn't working, or I haven't done it yet because I just haven't made the decision to. So we want to give you an opportunity just to hear about it. We are not selling you today. Okay. We have nothing to sell you. No, there is no credit card that we're accepting at the end of our conversation here. So like, I just like take a deep breath. That it's like, but what we want to do is we want to continue the conversation.
Yeah.
And so like, we don't want this to be like a, hey, come for an hour, and then like we never get to talk again. And I know some of you guys are dear friends. So like, we will absolutely talk again, but this is just a way that we can work together and help you guys really start and grow your nonprofit. So I'm just going to share, we're doing 2 groups inside of our academy that we're launching. This academy, our grow groups are already running. So for those of you who have followed me in Fully Funded Academy, you might have heard me talk about a program called Fully Funded Orgs. Well, Fully Funded Orgs is now the Nonprofit Academy Grow Group. So we already have people already growing together. The group is already off the ground. They've been meeting since the beginning of the year. They were obviously meeting for years prior to this and have now transitioned into this grow group. So for those of you who are, hey, I got an organization, we're running, we just don't know what we don't know, and we need to level up in 2024. The grow groups are like absolutely for you. I'll share a little bit more in a second, but the start groups are for those of you who are just getting started. So what is a nonprofit academy start group? It's exactly that. Someone who's interested in starting a nonprofit, okay? Someone who needs a coach and someone who needs a community.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So if you're in that position, I'm getting started. I just don't even know. I need somebody like Tim and Mary. Help me with my fundraising. Help me know how to get off the ground and a community. And then the grow groups, like I just mentioned, it's someone who's already established. They have a nonprofit organization. They just need a coach to take their organization to the next level.
Yeah.
And they need a community of people who are going to grow together.
Yeah.
So that's really what these two groups are. And I want to just introduce you briefly to my dear friend, James Harrington. James has been coaching with me for years. For those of you who know him, you know he has built out the most incredible nonprofit organization called the Ugandan Water Project, and $2 million organization. This guy is coaching our grow groups. So you have like a $2 million, he has 45 staff in a foreign country, 9 in the United States, and just built out this whole thing. So really incredible. But I just want you to see, like, I kind of use this example where I'm like, Tim's our grow coach. James is our start
Yeah, I'm
coach.
start. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the start guy. So Tim's your start guy. And James is handling our grow groups, and I'm going to make sure like that you guys have money. Okay. Like, no organization can function without cash in the bank. So
Yeah.
that is just something that's crucial for both of our groups. And so I know, Greg, you asked like, what's the academy cost? Can I be a part of both groups? Which I love that, Philippa. So something just to think about. And the academy cost, I was going to say they're different pricing. And to be honest with you, we are not sharing pricing, because I'm just going to tell you flat out that I do not want finances to stop you from moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so Tim and I, we are adamant about, we want the right people in. So money actually isn't even like like that's how you get in, is you just write us a check. Like, that's not how you get in. Okay. Like,
Yeah.
you get in because you're those first things, like the declaration, like, we're committed to this. I have a burning desire to do it. Cause some people are just not, yeah, I want to start or I want to grow this thing, but they really they don't want to grow,
Yeah.
So we want to ensure that every single person who joins one of our groups is committed, because, Tim, when he joined my first mastermind group, it wasn't me. Great. I helped him raise some money, but the better and more powerful relationship was our mutual friend, Emily Hauser, who
Totally.
she's one of our guests on the podcast. And Emily was the one that drove Tim to push his organization to the next level.
That's right.
If Tim didn't show up for Emily and Emily didn't show up for Tim, they probably would not be the organizations that they are today.
That's right.
Yes, I coached them in their fundraising, but the mutual, like, I got you, you got me. Don't quit. I'm not quitting. You're not quitting. Like, those relationships are what keep this going.
It's the
So
community.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, so I'm not going to tell you price. I apologize. It just really comes down to the fact that it's like, I don't want finances to stop you. This is totally doable. Every one of you should have no problem financing and like getting the money to do this. And also, I'm not going to charge you, we're not going to charge you something that you can't raise back, like that you will not at least 10x back in the next year. Okay. So, and Joe, you asked if they include one-on-one coaching or access to talk with me about fundraising, and our start groups come with one-on-one coaching. So yes. And especially when you're getting started, you get that one-on-one coaching, but we also are offering one-on-one coaching. So here's my ask. No money. I'm not asking you for cash. I'm just asking you for the next step, which is to go to startandgrowyournonprofit.com. And I want you to apply. So there are 3 options. There's the start group, there's the grow group, and there is the one-on-one. So if somebody's like, I do want to do some one-on-one coaching, absolutely would love to just get your feedback on stuff. We can totally do that. But we just want to make sure that you apply. We're going to have a 20-minute conversation with you because your organization deserves that. Okay. Like, we want to hear, where are you? And if we just give you some good tips in that 20-minute call and that's where the relationship ends, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
But for some of you guys, you're like, I need help. I need a team. I need people to come alongside me. And you are going to be the perfect fit to join one of our groups. And we would love to have you in there. So I know there's some questions and we want to leave some room. So if you guys want to stick on, we'll answer some of your questions as well. But I love it. Oh, Lindsay, thank you, sweet Lindsay. She gave us a little testimony here. I've been working with Tim and Mary for a few months now, and it has been amazing. You won't regret it. I'm starting a nonprofit from scratch. Love you, Lindsay. Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Lindsay, she's my people. She's that start one from scratch. I love it. Yes, and
Yeah.
she's doing great. She's literally putting in the homework. And hey, I want to mention to you, so the application, Mary, you put that in the comment section, right? So they can just click on the link. Yeah.
Yes. Yep. So everything's right there. It's Start and Grow. It says apply, 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 but scroll down to the bottom of the page and it gives a full description of our one-on-one coaching, of our start groups and of our grow groups. For those of you guys interested in in a start group, those are going to start in February. So there is no group has been launched. Lindsay is waiting for you all to sign up so that she can come alongside you and you can come alongside her great organization.
She's getting all that one-on-one coaching right now.
She is. We are like, yeah, no, and we love it. We love it. And that's the whole thing is that we want to over deliver for
Yeah.
you guys to ensure that you guys are successful. But really, so the start group is going to start in February and we don't have the time of day when those calls are going to be, but they're going to be twice a month. So you have 2 calls a month with Tim and I. Or if you're in the grow group, you've got calls twice a month on the grow side, and you've got James and I who are in there. So in both of these
And
groups, recorded calls, opportunity to ask questions, resources at your fingertips. We give templates. We give you we talk on strategic planning. We go through and like in the start track, we're really digging into all the startup stuff that, hey, you probably haven't even thought about this, but we're gonna make sure that you think about it so that later
yeah.
on you don't question what the heck am I doing.
And each
So
group will have less than like 12 people, no more than 12 people. We keep them capped off because we want to be able to spend a good amount of time working with each person on the calls.
love it. Hey, Kay, thanks for that. And shout out too. She said, I've known Mary for years as part of the fully funded program, now grow. It's so life-giving and helpful. Thanks, Kay. Yeah.
Yay.
So if you guys have specific questions about what we talked about here today, I mean, our main thing, like the message that we want to share with you about like 2024, what's happening is that it really comes back to you as a leader. Number one, you making a personal decision. Number two, you getting out there, using the resources that are at your fingertips. If you don't like technology, if you don't like AI, find one
That's
person,
right.
find a volunteer, find someone who enjoys it, empower them to do it,
Bingo.
empower them to be the storytellers. And then the third thing is you as the leader of your organization need to collaborate and be a part of a community, whether it's our community or another one. We really encourage you to make that happen. So
Just get it started. Just make a decision and go. Do it. Can you do it? Yes, you can do
yes.
it.
Absolutely. Okay, I'm going to post our link to our website one more time in there so that you guys have it. Yeah, can we also have a social enterprise to join, or must it be a social enterprise is totally great.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, happy to help you, through that process. I mean, I think James, I was looking at his Facebook and he calls his organization a social enterprise. So, absolutely, there's a lot of options there. We probably, if it's for profit, we may need to lean towards some one-on-one stuff so that it's a little bit more direct to your cause, to your case. So, but that's something that we'll do in that interview process, in that application. So here's what'll happen after you apply. So after you go on our website, you apply to have a conversation with us. From there, we're going to schedule a 20-minute conversation with you guys, and then we'll share more details and we'll talk about your specific scenario. And then we'll do our best to just really recommend which place we think you should go, so that, hey, you're not sitting in a group where you're like, this isn't a good fit for me. I don't know if this is for me right now. We'll make sure that we have that conversation with you before we move forward. So
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Thanks, Susan. So, I love a good testimonial. And I'm the worst. I'm the worst about like, here's a headshot of somebody who said this, so I'm like, hey, I'm bringing Tim to you. He's a good testimony. But regardless,
Yeah.
we know, Tim and I both know that nonprofits absolutely need money. Like that's
Yeah.
why I do what I do. That's why Tim and I are partnering together, is that your organization needs funding. But if your if your organization does not have a firm foundation, if it doesn't have what Tim did for his organization with the mission side, with, systems and structures and board development, volunteer development, all of those things, my fundraising is going to fall absolutely flat because your
Yeah.
donors are going to smell you out and say, you don't know what you're doing. You don't got a plan. And they're not going to give you any money. Okay. They might give you
Yeah.
the first gift and then they're gone.
Yeah.
And so we need to make sure that there's sustenance, that you've got real foundation built on, so that your donors give a gift and then they give again and again and again, and the donations get bigger, not smaller.
Well, and
So
the most special kind of gifts that you can get as an executive director, founder, nonprofit entrepreneur, the leader of that organization is the ones where you're just doing the work and you're doing it so well that you don't even have to ask for the money. Like they just see it and they just want to give to it, and then you just get those checks and you're like, I didn't even ask for anybody, but wow, thank you, and you like, and you ask yourself, why did they give that? And you get to remind yourself, oh yeah, it's because we're doing amazing work and we're worth every dollar that they
mhm.
give.
Perfect. Yeah, exactly. Philippa, I don't know what your guidelines are, because I know you're coming from a different country, so we'll have to dig into that a little bit more in our one-on-one. But Joe, thank you for applying. I know there's others that are applying as well, and I mean, we have, like we said, we have hundreds of people that are like a part of this webinar today. So I just wanted you guys to know, like, we can't let everybody in. So like, that's also part of this conversation, is like, we do want to have those conversations and make sure that you're a good fit. So don't miss out on applying and at least getting your name in the hat for this
For
first
sure.
section that we have coming through. And then we'll go from there. So on that note, you guys have work to do. You have nonprofits to start. You have nonprofits to grow. It's Friday. You're probably already thinking about happy hour. So we're going to just let you go for the day. Please don't let this conversation like just dead end here. Like, this is our hope, is that this is just the start to the conversation, and let's really build from this point forward. And if we can help you, we would love to do that. Thanks, Josh. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Congratulations. So,
Yeah.
and Tim and I are passionate about helping you. Okay.
For
Like,
sure.
we love, love, love the work that you guys are doing and want nothing more than for you to succeed. So on that note, we will see you guys very soon. We'll send out the replays if to those of you who registered, and then reach out if you need anything along the way.
Thanks so much, guys.
All right. We'll see you soon. Bye, guys.